Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the S Bros podcast. It is me, Armando.
Hello again. It is me, Aaron.
And I think we need to start this off because on the correct foot. And it's important for the audience to hear. Because towards the end of the last episode, my brother and I got in what I would say was a passionate discussion about Zuko and the state of his manliness.
Are you referring to when you were straight up just talking nonsense?
And here's the thing. We're clearly not going to agree on much of this aspect because my brother is a very big diehard Avatar the Last Airbender fan, the animated show, which is a fantastic series. It is dang near perfect. So in comparison to that, we're right now going through the next level of the most watchable Avatar the Last Airbender that we've received to date,
And
in my opinion.
Something that it isn't even worthy of, like, it shouldn't even be a discussion type of thing because the show was perfect as it was. We didn't need another adaptation, especially one that went in a different path. We didn't need any of that.
I agree. I think it's a little bit like the Halo. We talked about that.
Yeah,
We talked about
yeah.
that last episode where it's a little bit like how they did it, where it feels like it's got this title, it's got characters that have the names. However,
It's
it's
nothing
not
like it.
It's not really that. So,
Yeah.
and with that aside, so we get
Because the original creators, they're coming back with their movie, and so that'll be very exciting.
I'm excited to see that. What is the movie about?
It is about the adult versions of Aang, Sokka, Katara, Toph, and Zuko.
Okay.
Like it takes place after the events of the TV show when they're
Okay.
adults.
All right.
Before Aang dies at like 35.
Damn. Okay. Sounds sick.
I don't know when actually I think
Look up
he's-
when Aang dies.
I
Aaron.
think
Look
he's
up when Aang dies.
Yeah, but he looks 35. Okay, hold on.
So what we'll be doing now, because we're going through the second episode now, our review of this, and
It is titled Warriors. Episode 2, Warriors.
okay. So
For the Kyoshi Warriors.
Warriors. Now again, Aaron here, of the Average Gaming Association. He
Okay, so Aang died from the biological age of 66.
okay. So that's nowhere near his 30s.
So he was in the ice for 100 years. Let's see. Okay. Because he was 12. All right, yeah. Yeah. That would definitely take a significant...
So he lived until he was 160 something.
166, essentially.
Okay. So my brother is a much bigger fan of, and I'm a fan of the Avatar the Last Airbender, but my brother is a much bigger fan than me. So
I've just seen it more times, and I appreciate every single little detail about it.
Yeah.
I can even get something out of the Great Divide.
Lord Almighty. So we will be going and asking him questions about this because I want to know about some pretty key points in this moment. There's 3 that really come to mind if I'm really going to sit back and really meditate on it.
There's a few that I have, few disagreements that I have,
So-
obviously.
I'm going to ask your opinion about these things, and we're going to see first.
Okay.
The Kyoshi vision. How did you feel about that moment when Aang went into the Avatar state and went and had his conversation with Kyoshi?
I like the fact that Aang is able to communicate with the other avatars. I like being able to see the other avatars. That was something in the original show that fans felt like we could have used more of, was just some more of the other avatars. I mean, everybody knows what a fierce warrior Kyoshi was. We all wanted to see that. And so getting to see a little bit of that was a very cool aspect of this. Now, there were many, many changes about this episode.
I think that there is a hard thing to translate over because she's supposed to be kind of more of a giant person.
Yeah, she's extremely tall.
Yeah, and that's hard to translate over without it looking a little goofy. So I can at
It
least...
helped with him being a small child.
Yeah, he's a small child, so I can at least give it some grace on that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I didn't have that much of an issue with it. Overall, I thought that the vibe of that scene matched the show as a not super diehard fan, but a fan.
I do believe that
I
we
felt
needed...
like it gave me the vibe. It was like, okay, that's kind of the gist of what his vision was in the animated series.
I wish we had Roku first. Roku is my personal favorite Avatar.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's just the coolest.
Nobody really cares about Kyoshi.
Well, I mean, she was very, very violent.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool.
Badass, but you don't really see... Okay, we'll talk about... we're going to talk about that in a moment.
I think there are some comics about Kyoshi, but I'd have to Google
We're talking about the show.
We're talking about the show. Okay, in the show. I like the direction they took where if Aang is at a temple or a statue or a shrine for that avatar, he's going to be able to communicate with that avatar. It opens a very cool door. I don't know if they're going to utilize that properly, but it opens a very cool door for the possibilities of them like contacting more than just your fan service 3.
Yeah, I'm excited when they get into the the Fire Nation,
Yeah,
that's
all that stuff will be very cool.
So far,
because there was a scene in the trailer where Aang will go to that same island, and talk to Roku. So I don't know what that looks like. It's probably, I mean, people have probably already seen it in the show, but we're doing one episode at a time, so I haven't seen it yet.
So the big part of this then falls into something we've been watching over the last 2 episodes now, the bending battles.
Okay.
Now, I'm asking this as a specific question.
Go for it.
How would you, at this current point, because every element is a little different on how they choose to bend it. This one where they had...
Which is nice.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This one had Kyoshi earthbending. It wasn't anything crazy. It was more just a giant whirlwind of all 4 elements, and she just blasted it at everybody.
Yeah.
How do you feel so far about the bending battle, in your opinion?
I think the Avatar state looked a little weak.
I also really, really disliked all of the super blocky, terrible fight choreography.
I noticed that as well.
I feel like some of these people actually know martial arts, and none of them are performing as such. And so that's the big part of this where I feel there is a gap not being bridged. This is the bending of the elements is supposed to mimic kind of the flow and beauty of true martial arts.
Correct.
And in this live action show, they've really missed that mark, in my opinion.
I do agree with that.
I think that it's something that, because they've gotten the force of them when they airbend and they blast stuff.
And that looks good.
I completely agree.
When people get burnt alive. I actually like that a lot.
That's a gnarly part, and it worked perfect. It worked perfect.
Yeah, every time that someone gets burnt, it's weirdly satisfying.
Yeah.
Because it was a cartoon show before, and you would never see something like that. Even though watching it for the 10th time, you'd be like, it'd be kind of cool if you got to see something like that. Well, now we can.
You're right. And then
so that's not bad. I do dislike the biggest change of the episode, and I think everybody's on the same page with me, that they missed the hell out of the giant koi fish for Aang to go surfing on.
Yeah, I actually completely forgot that was part of the animated show. But yes, you're right.
I don't care about Sokka now being preyed upon. I don't care that they
we're going to get into that.
I don't care that they switched the sexism shit.
Dude, that is such a bizarre thing. Because again, all you got to do is just close your eyes and imagine it being Sokka in reverse with her.
Yeah.
And it's the creepiest shit you've ever heard in your life.
God. Oh my God.
And so that's the part, again.
And I loved... Well, we'll get into it, but we'll get into it.
We'll eventually probably have to watch, just for the comedy content of it, the No Hard Feelings movie.
But dear God, I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm not looking forward to it either. And it's mostly just because I need to know for sure if my hate fire for that stuff is true as it is. Because when I was watching that in this episode, I was like, okay, you don't have to flaunt it in front of my face how blatant that creepy double standard is. So regardless.
Yeah.
However, that being said, I can fully admit that that is a double standard. But if that happened to me, I would not care. That being that, I must make that perfectly clear. I just find it odd, the double standard in cinema. But however, there is a very much so a reality double standard that it's like when girls complain about being catcalled, I don't know any dude who wouldn't love to be catcalled. So
that is true. I've only been catcalled once in my life, and it was, I don't know, it kind of put a pep in my step the rest of the day. That being said, I recognize and acknowledge that a lot of times that stuff can borderline be aggressive.
yes, I also admit that.
And needs to tone down 100%. Start acting right.
Sure.
But yeah, I thought it was really funny how she was choking him out and he had to tap.
Okay.
And then he just walked away like this freaking weird lady.
Yeah. And then also that whole scene was, that's what I mean. The choreography to this is not good at all.
It was so
because
awkward.
that should have been a good fight scene. Her fighting was terrible. Was terrible. That was a big thing for this is because the Kyoshi Warriors, there's no bending involved.
No.
It's just them
and
doing martial arts.
I had gotten a sense that the actress for Suki knew martial arts.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that.
Like the way certain stances, certain forms, certain techniques, they're very sharp and with a purpose, except when she's acting with another human.
Yes.
So when she's going through the moves, I can tell that she has at least more than 20 hours practicing in the trailer.
Well, the big thing that I was noticing is when they were doing their like drills and whatnot, and they're very clearly just structural drills where you're just in one pose. You're not going to necessarily be in that pose in a fight. But every single time when they would do that, she would then like swat their little thing with her fan like they were blocking it, but you're like, they're just in a pre-decided pose, so like what? But that, yes, actually I'd love to hear your position on this because that's my point of view.
Well, those are just actual drills in any martial arts. There's certain sets of things that you do where you're building up the muscle memory, you're building up the second nature of doing such a move like that. That way the strength and the movement flow beautifully.
Yes.
I can see what you're talking about, but she's also, because when you're training in martial arts, and I've only taken a couple classes, so I'm not an expert.
Same.
And I've just seen a shit ton of movies.
Same.
So
we are basically
at the
on
same
the
level.
same experience level. Are we? This is my question. Are we about to Shang-Chi bus ride this real fast? Listen, I've taken a couple of years of martial arts, so I'm going to break this down for you real fast. Okay, that's basically the position we're both taking, and I don't think we're going to agree on it, but that's basically where it is.
There are just you do these moves, and it's not like they're the greatest attack. It's not like it's the greatest defense, but it's the basics. Well, dropped your water bottle.
Well, that's what I mean. These are structural moves. It's like when we're doing in the horse stance, like when we take kung fu, like when you'd sit in horse stance, they would occasionally come up like. All right, I messed up and I accidentally said a full name. So the guy who taught us, Jim,
taught us.
Yeah,
I was such a child during that time.
Well, because occasionally he'd come up and like try to push you.
Yeah, as you're supposed to, because the formation
for the balance.
Do you remember?
But so let me finish my point on this first. So that's my perspective on it, and I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
But the things that she was like doing, it was like she was pretending she was raw attacking, but it's not. And then she was like, "Oh, good, you blocked it." Like there was a couple of those, and you're just like, and you're like, "Okay, hold on a second." But like the whole thing is structured, so you're just like, that part. There's where your separation is, where I just don't believe it. And so that's where I found it funny. However, if you view this Avatar the Last Airbender as a porno that doesn't ever lead to intercourse, it makes perfect sense. and it's the perfect film. There's just the acting. There's just the porno acting with no sexual intercourse, and it's a thing of beauty.
Interesting.
That's essentially, and now that you've heard this, when we watch episode 3, this is probably what you're going to be thinking.
It's probably going to be the greatest show ever.
Yeah, it's a wonderful masterpiece of the best porno acting you're ever going to see in your life.
So, hot take. As of right now, so far, my favorite character is Sokka.
I will also, I'd argue second that. Yeah.
So, because I find his role in all this just a funny, good role. Even though his acting is a little stiff, but and a little wooden,
the way some of his lines are designed, it's almost like it's perfect, and it's because of how he sounds.
When he was getting choked by the Kyoshi warrior, and he tapped and he started walking away, he left his boomerang, and just the look on his face was. Mm-hmm. It was priceless.
Yeah, that was the best acting I'd ever seen. He was
laughed really. I laughed it to myself pretty good.
Yeah. So it's not that it was terrible or anything like that, but Oh, go ahead.
No. This is just the next question I have for you about the episode.
Go ahead. Ask.
So what were you gonna say?
I forgot. So
okay. Anyways, we're just gonna move on. So another thing that I really didn't like was Zhao.
Oh, that was my next question. Actually, that was literally what I was gonna ask. Okay. So. The meeting of Zhao, the character of Zhao. How did you feel? I like the dude, the actor. Generally speaking,
I caught some meme that was saying how he thought he was auditioning for James Cameron's Avatar.
That's pretty funny.
So, I was going into this just seeing if I could see any kind of disappointment in his acting. Just like
I'm like, damn it, I'm here.
This is not going to be $1 billion production.
Well, no, unfortunately, it's not. I wonder what the budget for it is per episode.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to talk about Zhao.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it is his in the anime show. It's his port that they go to. Commander Zhao is someone who is known, who even though, yes, Zuko in the anime show was hot-headed, he still knew of the rank and of the individual. And not getting that authority, that authority, that high-ranking commander, the intimidation scene where they're having tea together and he's just kind of interrogating him, and then the crewmate comes in and says, we interrogated the crew and they did capture the Avatar and Zuko let him get away. And so having that moment was extremely cool and important to Zhao's character and Zuko's character. And then when they had that Agni Kai, we didn't get that in the show. So far, they haven't even touched on what an Agni Kai is.
No, that hasn't even been spoken about.
They haven't even talked about his scar.
They did, actually.
They did a little bit?
Yeah, they talked about, and it was only touched on in a couple lines where they were speaking at where Iroh was talking about the banishment of, was speaking about the banishment of the character.
Of Zuko.
So, yeah, of Zuko. So, and yeah, wasn't he talking about the fact that it's a mark of a firebender getting burned by fire?
No, that was a video we were watching.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, like, it sounded cool.
Shout out to Caravan of Garbage. Love those guys.
That's true. Thank you. Yeah,
when
shout
they were
out
talking
to them.
about the M. Night movie.
Yeah, I'd argue they were kind of a low-key inspiration for what we're doing now. So.
Yeah, love those guys.
This will actually probably make a little bit of sense. So the whole first season was allotted $120 million.
That's it?
Yeah, each episode is only $15 million.
Oh my god!
And so my personal opinion about that,
they have made liquid gold out of what they were given.
Yeah, yes, and that it puts it in a bit of different perspective because there are certain sequences in the cinematic part of it that are gorgeous.
The CGI
is pretty decent for what they're.
Especially
now.
Aside from the animal
it's
faces,
a little sci-fi. It's a little sci-fi.
Yeah.
But it's like the upper echelon of the sci-fi.
It's very
films.
watchable.
Yeah, it's not super hokey in my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, they should have been spending movie quality money per episode.
You're right.
Because that's the only thing that
would they have done that well? Would they have handled that money well?
It would have at least looked good enough to get you to watch it every episode. If your show might be crap, but with the visuals of the bending and all this stuff and the environment, they could have easily made that. But right now, I'll be honest with you, there's so many scenes. There are certain sequences that look incredible, but you know they're just standing by a green screen most of the time. You can see it. Yeah. You can see it.
When Aang is looking over the distance in that first episode to get that iconic shot.
Yeah, you can see very clearly.
He was in a warehouse.
Yeah, you can very clearly see that difference, and I think that's the part that and the perspective we'll put it in is you can see the background versus the character in this Avatar the Last Airbender.
Yeah.
In the Bad Batch animation, you can't tell the difference. You can blatantly tell the difference, actually, in this animated show. I guess, actually, no, never mind. What makes Avatar the Last Airbender not look good is what makes the Bad Batch look fantastic, because you can see that it's a character in a different space than the wall that he's standing by.
True.
And
I know what you mean.
Because in the original series of it,
relative spacing,
even in the last season, that is not a quality. That, like, you can still see that they're kind of part of the same background thing. In this season of it, you can tell there's a difference between the background and the character, and it's insane.
It's the final season.
Yeah, and so this does that very well also. And so, so Zhao, we're a little iffy on that. The Avatar state also a little iffy.
Yeah, I really missed the Agni Kai. I missed the Zuko's ship getting busted in the last episode. There are just key moments about the show that were really good. For example, you were saying, thank God we didn't have the penguin sledding scene. Or he didn't ask about the penguin sledding scene.
I still stand by that statement.
Be that as it may, there's a piece of dialogue that you get from Katara where she says, I haven't done this since I was a kid, and Aang responds, you still are a kid. That sets up so much to those who are paying attention, and it gives you just a look into how the war has affected these characters and how much they overcome and where they really are when the journey starts, and what kind of world Aang is coming back into.
Yeah, but they kind of give you that when they're walking along the shores of the glacier, where they're talking about that, where it's like, yeah, Sokka had to grow up real fast. Like, they're basically having that dialogue just differently, and it's not as good, don't get me wrong, but that's basically what they're trying to hit at.
Yeah, they just didn't do it in as good of a job as they should have.
I 100% agree.
They should have been they should have been playing a little bit, and not just running around in that goddamn circle that they've done to us now twice with Aang. Him playing with other kids is just him running in a circle.
Mm-hmm. And I'll point out again, his flying without his
it's so
staff
weird.
is pretty terrible.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
The critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is 60%
for this episode.
For the show so far, the series. The audience score, and this is based off of only 500 verified ratings, so you should probably take it with a grain of salt. But so the critic score is 60%, and the audience score is 76%.
Okay.
Again, that's only 500 people they asked that to.
Yeah, well, not that they asked, but the people that reviewed. With the new knowledge that we have about them spending $15 million per episode, it definitely puts it in a new light. This is top tier adult film acting.
It doesn't.
This is top tier adult film acting.
It doesn't put it in a different light for me. It just really makes a lot more sense.
Does it change your opinion? Are you going to be more forgiving?
I am forgiving because of that, dude. I told you I don't dislike the show. I actually very much so like it because I view it in that light, and I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. It'd be weird if it led to.
What else did they change about that episode?
That's a question for you, dude. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know how I feel about how they're introducing the Fire Lord. I wish we didn't see his face.
I also wish that, because we didn't get to see the Fire Lord's face until
season 3.
Yeah, and
however, it's not like they can do that. No, they're not guaranteed, so they need to try and have this be a complete story just in case.
Yeah,
That's how they set it up.
I understand that. I understand that. But if you're really trying to do it to where it could be, I don't know. See, you're already accepting that it's gonna suck, but you didn't get much of a budget for it, so it's not gonna be that good anyway.
That's
So
what.
we
It's not like I set that budget for him.
yeah, you should have done it higher. We actually may not see a second season.
I know.
There's a huge chance we're
However,
not going
with
to
the
see a
score
second season.
of 77, that's way better than anything that the Sony Spider-Man movies are doing or anything that Marvel is doing right now, Deadpool aside. 77% is really good
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
if we're getting a second season. See if it's greenlit. Maybe tonight we'll watch the 3rd episode.
We probably should.
Yeah, I wish they had just given us like
No. This pulled. It said has indeed been a financial success, but it pulled up the 2005 to 2008 series.
Oh, okay.
Not the same.
So with the Fire Lord, they should have had someone kind of run up, bow to him in his throne. I don't know why the hell he's standing up anyways. And they should have had him kneel down saying, "Forgive the intrusion, my lord. I have some grave news." Or just something like that, and then left that on the cliffhanger. They shouldn't have had him like open it up. They shouldn't have showed his face. Should have just been the back of his head.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. He probably shouldn't have even spoken.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's the big thing about making him imposing and larger than life. Like he's supposed to be the biggest of the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
And
supposed
he's
to be.
a great
that.
actor. They have a great person for this role. It'll be, I'll be exciting. I'll be excited to see his bending get taken away.
It's not really coming up with the answer that I'm.
Well, they probably
for.
haven't been greenlit yet.
Yeah, well, I just asked if it made any money, and it hasn't said. It doesn't. The recent live action adaptation
Hasn't even been a week.
which premiered in 2022 represents a significant investment. Well, it's not significant. 120 million. Relax.
Probably during a time.
They pay stand-up comedian specials arguably more money than that.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that's wild that's what they consider significant. I think that and this is what I mean. I almost don't think it's supposed to make much money. This might have just been something that they're supposed to throw at us, which is a bummer.
Would be a bummer.
Well, this all that'll mean is that not we, but you'll probably end up going through the animated series relatively soon after completing
It's
this.
on Netflix.
Yeah, I know. And that has made money, actually. That came up instead, and it's made quite a bit, actually.
Since they put it on Netflix, it has brought them a lot.
Oh, yeah. It's it even upped Blu-ray and DVD sales for a moment of it.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a little wild. So
see, if you don't have a Blu-ray player, it's a little bit of a hindrance playing a Blu-ray on the Xbox.
well, a lot of these people just want the hard copies, and they probably have a way of watching it.
Because if you take your disc and put it in the Xbox, you have to go through the Blu-ray app to play the movie.
Oh, okay.
And so depending on your internet connection, it doesn't matter if you have the physical disc that normally plays in high quality, your app is not going to stream in high quality.
Yeah.
And it's a ridiculous feature.
Okay. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you not want me to agree with you on that, dude?
No, it doesn't matter.
I think it matters, dude.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's really weird.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. So,
Just rent it on the Xbox Marketplace, I guess.
yeah, I would say go to streaming. Let tech completely
Go to the
engulf
digital
you.
world.
Go to the digital world. Eventually get in your glasses so that way you can kind of like be there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I'd like to just be in a chair that floats around Aang. I want a 360 version of this show.
That'd be wild.
That'd be ridiculous.
A POV Ang.
Not POV Aang.
Oh, okay. Well,
That wouldn't be that bad, but then you'd have to do the flying thing, and there'd be no way that would look good. That would make too many people motion sick. They'd put extra flips in there, and they wouldn't be necessary.
you wouldn't even know what's going on.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode it had its moments. It had its funny moments. It had its terrible moments. It had its moments where I feel like it was better than the first one. It had its moments where I feel like it was worse than the first one.
There's going to be times that it's hard to watch.
This show, I'm gonna definitely say it has moments.
We are going to watch every episode regardless. So
Hell
it
yeah, we
doesn't
are.
matter. It doesn't matter. We're in it for the long haul. Again, if you just look at it as though you're watching a very G-rated porn, you're fine.
You're totally fine.
Or
Totally
corn.
fine.
Or corn. Am I supposed to say corn?
I don't know.
No, I think that's just for the thumbnails. I think I can say porn.
Maybe we can just put a little ducky squeak over that.
Is that
Squeak.
Yeah. Alrighty. This has been we're at 30 minutes.
We're
So.
at 30 minutes. Do you have anything else to say about this episode?
No, honestly, it feels good that we're more on the same page with it all. You know, it feels good that
I wanted it to be good.
Of course, I did too. But again, I knew it wasn't going to be.
I was willing to be more forgiving.
It was never going to be as good as the animated.
Getting to see some extra shit is always good.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's cool that, and again, this is the most watchable version of it. But
yeah,
it's a little rough.
It is.
It's a little rough. They just didn't do it justice. It was never meant to do justice. Again, with only a budget of 120 million, what were you going to do?
That's wild.
That's such a low budget for
movies nowadays.
For this project, for what this was supposed to be. Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. You can't pay it. That's why the choreography isn't good. That's why there's certain aspects of it that aren't good. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense now.
And it kind of bums me out because that means they didn't give it their all.
No, it didn't. They didn't. I think that this was just meant to hopefully draw people into Netflix, to be honest with you. This feels like it was meant to.
So do you have hopes for the movie?
Sure, because the original creators are doing it. Yeah,
I know nothing about
and it's animated, correct?
Yeah. I know nothing about it. And
so just potentially think of what it could look like.
Speaking of childhood things that are coming back, Fairly Odd Parents is getting a sequel series, and they're getting the original actors.
Are you kidding
me? For Cosmo and Wanda, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's wild. We're gonna have to do that.
We're gonna have to look into it.
Yeah.
Did you watch after they got their kid?
No.
Poof.
No. I couldn't even tell you how that show ended, dude.
So this was, I think I was in high school still when that show was going on. So it was around the 2010s, kind of before that. So how fairies in that world continue their families is Cosmo was the one who was pregnant.
Whoa, they were woke before.
They were so woke, ahead of the curve.
They were woke before it was cool. Damn, that makes it sick.
But yeah, and so they had a purple colored fairy, and his name was Poof.
I actually think I remember that, and then Cosmo was like being super dramatic and like
he was being a mom.
Yeah, he was being a mom.
They went through all the woman stereotypes and just put it on Cosmo.
That's pretty funny, actually. That's as good as you could make it. That's as good as you can make it.
That's true satire, right?
You probably couldn't do that now. Yeah, you probably couldn't do that now.
No.
If you had to portray a pregnant man in a cartoon, you'd be super strong and calm. We're going to have this naturally. No pain medications.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, shout out to Fairly Odd Parents. I will watch that sequel series.
Unless it was Kevin Hart that they made pregnant. Then he'd just be screaming and crying.
Yeah, then it would be screaming and crying. Yes, yeah. No, I think that'll be interesting. I did not even know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm now stoked. See, and this is cool because I think talking about some of these things that were part of our time growing up, because all the people who now they're our age, dude. They're in their 30s. So,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. Like, we were watching those when we were little kids. So
yeah. And now we're talking about it when we're in our 30s. Who can tell where we're going to be listening back to this old podcast when we're in our 40s?
Yeah, when am I getting a cat-dog sequel series?
I wouldn't want
Angry
like
Beavers?
That.
Give me...
Dude.
First off...
Get married.
Brilliant. Oh, my God, yeah. Honestly, if they did a sequel series of Courage the Cowardly Dog today, that would also be pretty... Insane. That would be pretty good.
Didn't they do one of... Samurai Jack? No, they made a video game of Samurai Jack.
We should go through that cartoon series, like one of those cartoon series.
I would love.
Like,
I've never
after every episode of Courage, we just sit down and talk. I don't know what I saw. I don't really know what's happening.
I would like that.
That'd be kind of fun. Oh, that would be a fun sequence to do, where we're just doing like 90s cartoons and stuff like that, or
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be crazy. I mean,
Arnold.
Hey Arnold, that'd be the only.
Talk about the life of a teenager for a little while. It's like,
Dude.
so listen, Arnold's just going through a lot right now.
Going through some
His
stuff.
hormones are firing off, you know.
There was one episode
Olga,
where
what an ugly name.
I think was it Olga or Helga?
Oh, it's Helga. It's Helga.
She goes to her shrine in the closet and she just holds that picture and she's like, "Oh Arnold, you make my womanhood tremble."
Dude, yeah, it's such a wild show. It's such a wild show. We should definitely watch that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So 35.
Everybody, I hope you had a good time listening. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you want us to go through.
Yeah.
If you even like this. So my video game channel, right now it's at 95 subscribers. If I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to do a voice reveal thing.
That
Even, it means nothing to you here.
If you've listened to this episode, you've had.
But now I'm going to start bringing my personality into the
agree.
gaming channel.
I think that's a good move, dude. I think that's a good move.
I'll be
You should.
unrestricted.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be posting up new Mornings with Mondo, where it's going to be a breakdown of the book that I'm going through right now. It's called The Indifferent Stars Above.
I think that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it'll be good. It's kind of like a history, but it's a history of the Oregon Trail, kind of.
Such
but
a fascinating time.
Yeah, it's a history going through when the pioneers of this country went around and settled some of the land. And no, it's not always by pleasant means, but this particular story, the group goes through a much more horrendous time than anything else. So it'll be interesting. I'll drop that a little bit later on this week. So
Yeah. All right. Dude, I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. Now, all right, everybody, join us when we go through episode 3 of Avatar the Last Airbender, Netflix.
Whoa.
For the next 15 million.
For King Boomy.
For King, oh my gosh, chubby King Boomy. All right, everybody. See you later.
Peace.
Bye.